Welcome to this deep dive. Today we aren't looking at like a textbook or a dry white paper.
No, we actually have something way more tactile today.
Exactly. We've got our hands on a highly detailed 31-page architectural blueprint and rendering package. And we're going to use it to decode this sort of 21st century magic trick that's happening right now.
It really is a magic trick.
It is.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever walked past a historic building in your downtown and just assumed it was this static piece of history, well, this document is going to completely change how you view the built environment around you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, those 31 pages, they give us an incredibly rare real-time look into commercial development.
Yeah.
So specifically, we're analyzing a property located at 203 North Sycamore Street in Newtown, Pennsylvania.
Right, in Newtown.
And these plans, they were submitted by Ralph C. Fay AIA Architects, with the latest revision dated just a few days ago on May 29th, 2026.
Which is so cool to see in real time.
Yeah, very.
So our mission today is to figure out exactly how these architects are taking a modern-day Indian restaurant, Guru's fine Indian cuisine, and transforming it back into its 19th century roots.
Right, while simultaneously launching this brand new concept called the Saloon Restaurant.
Yeah, going through these blueprints, I mean, it literally makes you feel like an architectural detective.
Yeah.
The clues to how they pull this illusion off, they're buried in these tiny elevation lines, mechanical routing diagrams, and just hyper-specific material notes.
And that entire process, in the architectural and development industry, that's known as adaptive reuse.
Adaptive reuse.
Exactly. It's this really delicate, often agonizing balancing act between preserving the physical history, obeying really strict modern zoning laws, and, well, ensuring the building actually makes a profit for the owners.
Because it has to make money.
Right. A building can look beautiful, but if it doesn't function commercially and legally, the project just dies on paper.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we look at the pretty paint colors or, like, the historic facade, we really have to talk about the structural math.
The math is everything here.
It is. Because when you look at these floor plans, there's this major business decision that seems, well, completely backwards at first glance.
Yeah, the seating capacity.
Right. Currently, as Gurus, the building seats 120 people indoors. It's built for high-volume dining. But the proposed plan for the Saloon Restaurant dramatically reduces that footprint.
A huge cut.
They are slashing the indoor dining from 120 down to just 54 seats. I mean, imagine you're running a restaurant. If seats equal revenue, why on earth would you willingly cut your indoor capacity by more than half?
Well, this raises an important question. What does a profitable restaurant actually look like in the modern era?
Okay.
The old strategy of packing 120 people into a single, loud dining room, that's giving way to something much more curated.
Interesting. So they're going for a different vibe.
Exactly. The architects are strategically reallocating that interior footprint. So they drop the traditional dining room to 54 seats, but they add this massive new bar and lounge addition on the first floor.
Oh, right. I see that on the plans.
Yeah, it's 25 by 32 feet, adding 36 seats in a space that's totally optimized for craft cocktails and a premium atmosphere. And those typically carry, much higher profit margins than a standard plate of food.
Oh, that makes it's kind of like editing a movie, right?
Yeah.
You take a bulky 3-hour director's cut and you just slash the runtime to create a much more focused, high-impact experience for the audience.
That's a great way to put it. And, that smaller, focused footprint is also driven by strict legal necessity.
The zoning laws.
Exactly. This property sits in Newtown's Town Commercial, or TC, zoning district. In a TC district, the town dictates exactly how much parking you need based on your occupancy.
Right.
So the site plan reveals the calculus dictating this entire project. The township requires 1 parking space for every 2 seats, plus 1 space per employee.
Wait, so the physical asphalt outside is literally dictating the architecture inside?
Right. Precisely. They only have 45 parking spaces available on the lot. And in a lot of historic downtowns, you simply cannot buy more land to build a parking lot.
Because there isn't any.
Right. So if they tried to keep a massive indoor dining room and build a new lounge on top of it, the town just wouldn't issue the permits because the parking ratio would fail.
Oh, wow. So they have to completely reverse engineer the space.
Exactly. They have to balance the 54 indoor seats, the 36 lounge seats, and there's this brand new second floor outdoor terrace that holds another 34 to 41 people.
So they're spreading everyone out.
Yeah. They spread the patrons across these different experiential zones, an intimate dining room, a moody lounge, an airy terrace. But they have to keep the total occupant load mathematically tied to those exact 45 parking spaces.
That is wild. because this strict parking math limits the physical volume of the building. The architects have to extract maximum value from the aesthetics.
They do.
They have to sell this premium illusion to make those fewer seats more valuable. And the blueprints show them doing exactly that by basically looking backward in time.
The historical context here is amazing.
It is. The source material includes these incredible historical black and white photos of the property. If you were looking at them, you'd see like a dirt road, horse-drawn business wagons parked out front, and the building is operating as F.B. Wentworth General Merchandise.
And those archival photographs, they serve as a literal template for the new construction. I mean, the architects are actively trying to recreate that stark 19th century American silhouette.
Yeah, and when you look at the proposed renderings for the Saloon Restaurant, the most striking feature is this massive vintage ghost sign reading F.B. Wentworth General Merchandise that they plan to just paint right onto the side of the building.
It's going to be huge.
Plus, they're restoring a highly specific 6-inch bay window to match the exact proportions from that historic photograph.
Right, because the design is heavily reliant on those primary historic documents to justify the new aesthetics to the town's architectural review boards. You have to prove it belongs there.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because as an architectural detective, I feel like I have to push back a little bit on this strategy.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you are painting a brand new sign in 2026 and you're intentionally making it look faded and old to match a ghost sign, is that authentic historic preservation? Or are we sort of edging into theme park territory here?
Ah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, like it feels less like building a time machine and more like, I don't know, architectural taxidermy. You know, taking the genuine skin of a 19th century building and just stretching it over a modern high-tech skeleton.
Well, what's fascinating here is how the architects anchor that graphic illusion in physical reality. A theme park approach would involve just bulldozing the site and building a plastic replica. But the elevation notes reveal this painstaking effort to retain the genuine bones of the structure. The blueprints explicitly note that the existing historic stucco must remain.
Oh, they're keeping the original stucco.
Yes. The original vintage brackets under the eaves stay intact. The historic columns are preserved. They are even trimming and paneling an existing wall to physically restore the porch rather than just snapping on some prefabricated facade.
Oh, wow. Okay, so the foundation of the trick is real. You might use new paint to bring the image back, but the canvas itself is undeniably authentic.
Exactly. The ghost sign is a modern graphic application, yes. But because it's painted over centuries-old stucco and flanked by those genuine historic brackets, the graphic feels rooted in real architectural history.
It amplifies it.
Right, it amplifies the existing structure instead of just creating artificial staging.
Okay, I buy that. But, you know, bringing an 1800s exterior back to life is the romantic part of the job. The reality is, running a commercial restaurant in 2026 requires intense, heavy-duty modern infrastructure.
Oh, the infrastructure is massive.
I keep thinking of this building as a mechanical duck. Like, if you look at a duck gliding across a pond, on the surface, it's this pristine, elegant illusion. But underneath the water, its webbed feet are fiercely paddling just to keep moving.
That's a really good analogy.
Thanks. On the surface, this building is 19th century F.B. Wentworth. Underneath, it is furiously tattling to meet 2026 commercial building codes.
Yeah, the mechanical constraints of adaptive reuse require serious architectural acrobatics. I mean, consider accessibility. The 1800s obviously didn't have the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Right, those physical constraints dictate everything from the exact slope ratio of a wheelchair ramp to the turning radius required inside a doorway. You can't just slap a piece of wood over stairs anymore.
No, you can't. To make this historically accurate building legally functional today, they have to weave in a brand new ADA accessible ramp on the exterior, build a fully code-compliant entry vestibule that allows enough clearance for modern mobility devices, and entirely rebuild the interior stairs.
And they have to do all of that without ruining the 19th century illusion from the street.
Exactly.
And then you have the kitchen. If you look at the existing photos of Gurus, there is a massive industrial silver kitchen exhaust hood vent just bolted to the outside of the building.
It's pretty hard to miss.
It looks like a spaceship landed on an old barn. It's the definition of ugly but necessary.
Well, a commercial kitchen cannot legally or safely operate without massive ventilation to remove heat, grease, and smoke.
Right.
And in modern builds, these systems also require makeup air units, which actively push fresh air back into the building to replace what is being sucked out. It is a massive amount of ductwork.
But a giant silver tube running up the siding totally destroys that taxidermy illusion we discussed.
It ruins it completely.
So according to the elevations, they are completely removing those exterior hood vents. They are literally pulling them off the wall and rerouting them through the interior of the building.
Yeah, they have to hide them.
They are hiding the massive exhaust pipes inside the walls. Plus, they are doing a complete mechanical rebuild in the basement. The plans show extensive crawl spaces and new structural supports just to hold up the new commercial kitchen and walk-in refrigerators above.
And excavating and reinforcing under an 1800s foundation is a massive undertaking. You're often dealing with dry stacked stone or rubble foundations that were never designed to support multi-ton commercial walk-in refrigeration units.
That sounds terrifying, honestly.
It's complex. You have to reinforce the historic structural load while digging out space for heavy modern compressors. And, that interior routing of the exhaust vents is a profound sacrifice.
Because of the space.
Right. We discussed how they reduced the indoor seating to just 54. Space is at an absolute premium. Routing commercial-grade kitchen hood vents through the interior means building massive drywall chases to hide them, which eats up highly valuable, revenue-generating indoor square footage.
Wow. So they're giving up dining room space just to hide the pipes. They're willing to lose interior volume just to keep the outside looking like a historic postcard.
It is a deliberate compromise. To protect the historic silhouette of the exterior, those 21st century mechanics must be buried, even at a severe spatial and financial cost to the developers.
But to successfully pull off this mechanical duck illusion, the surface details, the feathers of the duck, they have to be absolutely flawless.
They have to be perfect.
Because you can't spend thousands of dollars hiding the vents inside the walls and then slap cheap vinyl siding on the outside of the building.
Right. That would defeat the whole purpose.
The blueprints actually dedicate several entire pages exclusively to the exact textures, materials, and paint codes used to trick the eye. I mean, the material specifications in these documents border on obsessive.
They really do. But the materials dictate the subconscious experience of the space. Every single texture contributes to the illusion.
Like, they aren't just saying paint the wood tan. They specify Sherwin-Williams colors. Downing sand, which is SW2822 for the wood siding.
Very specific.
And the trim is Roycroft Bronze Green, SW28/46. They demand certainty landmark pro shingles in the color driftwood. And for the new covered porch structure, they're utilizing a Drexel Metals hand-crimped standing seam metal roof in dark gray.
And we can't forget the doors either. They specify Simpson wood doors in Douglas fir. Even the entirely new additions, like the outdoor spaces that never existed in the 1800s, are rigorously specified to blend seamlessly into the historic fabric.
Right. For the new second-floor outdoor terrace, they are using TimberTech Premier Collection composite decking in a color called Maritime Gray.
Not just standard wood.
Nope. And to support it, they aren't using standard modern pillars. They are sourcing traditional 4-inch painted cedar porch posts, specifically from a company called Vintage Woodworks.
That's dedication.
But the detail that really highlights this obsession is the windows. They are installing Norwood double-hung 500 series wood windows. And the plans mandate a simulated divided light with a very specific 58-inch historic putty profile on the muntin.
Okay, we should probably clarify those terms for anyone who isn't a glazier.
Good idea.
So a muntin is the wooden grid that holds the individual small panes of glass in a classic historic window. But modern energy codes make it incredibly inefficient to build a single window out of a dozen tiny, separate, drafty pieces of glass.
Right, so they use a simulated divided light. That's this clever architectural trick where you use one large, highly energy-efficient pane of modern glass, but you glue wooden grids over the top of it, so it just looks like it's made of individual historic glass panes.
Exactly. And they're demanding a 58-inch historic putty profile on those wooden grids.
It's so specific.
It is. Historically, a glazier used a wedge of sock putty to seal single-pane glass into a wooden frame, which hardened into a very specific angled shape. Recreating that in 2026 requires specialized milling of the wood to cast that exact same shadow.
So what does this all mean? Like, why this extreme hyperfixation on millwork? Are we really to believe that a patron sitting on that terrace, having a beer and eating a burger, is going to look at the window and say, ah, yes, an excellent 58-inch historic putty profile on that muntin?
Probably not consciously, no.
Right. Does anyone actually notice the difference?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not about conscious recognition. It's about the concept of subconscious authenticity.
Subconscious authenticity.
Yes, the human brain is incredibly adept at pattern recognition, especially in physical environments. Even if a patron doesn't know the architectural terminology, their brain registers the combined weight, the shadow lines, and the depth of these materials.
Oh, I get that. Like how a heavy solid wood door just feels different when you open it compared to a lightweight hollow core door. You don't have to be a carpenter to know one is better.
Exactly. When sunlight hits a 58-inch putty profile on a wooden window pane, it casts a very specific, delicate shadow that modern, flat vinyl windows simply do not create.
Wow, yeah.
When someone leans against a solid cedar post from vintage woodworks, it doesn't give or sound hollow like a cheap PVC pillar. The subtle variations in the Downing sand paint on real wood siding, the hand-crimped seams on the Drexel metal roof, these textural cues accumulate.
They add up.
They do. The brain processes them all simultaneously and tells the patron that the space they are occupying is inherently comfortable, grounded, and real.
It's the difference between buying a high-end replica watch and a cheap knockoff. Like, from 10 feet away, they might look exactly the same. But when you actually hold them, your body just knows which one is authentic based on the physical weight, the ticking mechanism, and the finish.
That's a perfect comparison.
The architects are engineering that exact feeling of authenticity so the historic illusion holds up to the physical touch.
It is a massive orchestration of detail to create a feeling of effortless history.
So let's recap the journey we've taken through these 31 pages of blueprints today. We started with the harsh math of town commercial zoning, where strict parking ratios forced a business to slash its indoor seating and pivot to a curated lounge and terrace model just to legally open its doors.
Right.
And because they were constrained by space, they had to extract maximum value from the aesthetics, which led them to resurrect the ghost of F.B. Wentworth general merchandise.
And then we saw the architects execute that architectural taxidermy. They preserved genuine historical stucco and brackets while burying massive modern kitchen exhaust pipes and ADA infrastructure inside the walls at the direct expense of interior revenue space.
All to preserve that pristine 19th century silhouette. And they dressed it up in precise Sherwin-Williams paint codes and simulated divided lights to ensure the building feels authentic on a subconscious level. It completely changes how you look at a building.
It really does. Architecture is never just static geology. It is a highly choreographed performance.
Which leaves you with a really fascinating question to mull over. We've spent this entire time analyzing the incredible effort, money, and sacrifice required to protect and recreate the 1800s in the modern day. But in 50 years, when architects are renovating this exact same building in 2076, what will they value? Will historic preservationists fight to protect the authentic 19th century F.B. Wentworth facade, or will they fight to protect the TimberTech composite deck and the 2026 Saloon editions as their own distinct, vital era of history?
That is a very good question.
Something to think about the next time you walk past a historic renovation in your own downtown. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.